going. We're going to try to, look, I guess we're going to have to take a break roughly every hour to change the tape, smaller equipment. I do want to just say one thing. I have had a couple of communications about whether this is a pre-K program. In other words, a program for children born before they are. Connecticut law allows you to go into kindergarten when you're 4 years and 8 months old, I think that's right. And Connecticut is actually one of the earliest states, and I think I can make a pretty cogent argument that if we're going to do full-day kindergarten, parents whose children are 4 at the time of enrollment really ought to think twice about whether they want to go to full-day K. That's the decision. You know, my girls were born in February, and we waited until they were 5 to enroll them. And that's something I think we've got to talk about as a district and what to encourage. But this is not a pre-K program. This is, I know New York City's talking about pre-K, New Haven's talking about pre-K. The only pre-K program that we have paid for by taxpayers in the town of Guilford is a mandated program for some identified special education students, roughly 20 students. They are paid, that is a state mandated, federal mandated program. They do have regular education children in that program, but those children pay a fee that's based on the market rate for pre-K programs. So there is no taxpayer subsidy for the non-special education pre-K students. This is not, what Dr. Freeman has proposed is not to expand that program. There is no, I'm not familiar with any kind of proposal in the legislature or anywhere else to expand that program. I don't think we've expressed any interest in expanding that program locally. So that is, we are not talking about before kindergarten. We are talking about whether to move from half day to full day of kindergarten. So anyway, thank you.
My name is Bob Gould. I live at 5 Spinning Mill Court. I'm not from Guilford. I have 4 kids, 8, 6, 4, and 2. So I haven't slept in 10 years. I say it like it is. I mean, there's just no way that Guilford is not going to have, at some point, full-day kindergarten. It's just not going to happen. I mean, the trend across the country is full-day kindergarten. So the question is really, do we do it now, or do we wait longer and do it next year, or the year after, or the year after? My experience has been speaking to people outside of this school district that it's laughable that we don't have it, that people don't move here specifically because we don't have it. When my wife and I moved here 7 years ago, we moved from New York, and we chose Guilford specifically for the schools. Our decisions were Branford, Guilford, Madison, or Clinton. Those were the choices. We wanted to live on the shoreline. Guilford had by far the best school system, without a doubt. And now that decision would be a different decision for me. It's important that we continue to draw people from other areas to our town. And by holding back and not committing to this, we're just going to delay it, and people aren't going to come here. And in fact, you will see people thinking about leaving, because it costs money to put your kid in the after-school program. I mean, it costs money. It's real dollars. People are going to leave. I ask you not just to pass this, but pass it unanimously. Get a message to the Board of Finance that this is what we need to do. As a town, we have to commit to it. And if you commit to it, and they commit to it, the people in this room are going to take to the phones and make sure that the town commits to it. So I ask you to please vote it, and vote it unanimously. Thank you.
Others on full-day kindergarten specifically? Or other? Yes? See, I can't, I'm confused. Who's leading? Who's...
Sorry. Oh, yeah. With the green, I'm here. Hi, I'm Sarah Levish Pryor at 46 Putzel Ave in Guilford, a proud parent of a daughter in the Guilford Public School System. Yay, Melissa Jones. I saw Mrs. McCarthy. And I'm also a Guilford graduate. One thing that I think about is the enrollment. What do we see for enrollment in kindergarten compared to the enrollment in first grade? Are the people speaking? Are they saying that we're not moving to Guilford, we're not enrolling our children because there is no full-day kindergarten, but we'll join you when we get to first grade? And that's of concern. You have students then that are coming in and learning our schools, and also it's going to make our class sizes very large because we're not anticipating all these students coming in. So it was just something, I didn't know if you had looked at the numbers, and is there a difference between the enrollment in kindergarten and first grade?
Historically, there does seem to be a bump into first grade. It is relatively small. It might be 10 or 12 students who come in at first grade, and it appears most of those students are students who go to a full-day private program and then join us in grade 1. We have been tracking that number. There is a number. You can measure it. It's not as large as some would expect, but there is a number there.
Yeah, I've
So
got it right here.
some people are speaking and saying that we want to be here, but we'll join you in first grade. So I
Rough,
think-
if you want to just use a rough rule of thumb, it's roughly a 10% increase from kindergarten to first grade. So that's
I think the
Slightly
longer we
goes up
hold
and down,
out, we can
slightly
kind of
goes up.
assume that that number would probably continue to grow. So we want to be proud of our kids that we've raised from kindergarten through high school, not just Guilford alumni, graduates of the high school, but we want to see them from the beginning to the end. So, thank you.
Eric Haskell, 189 Little Meadow Road. Maybe those numbers are a little low. We have a child that we're considering enrolling in St. John's. And, well, he's going to start first grade there. We might as well leave him there till fifth grade or leave him there the entire time. And we really want to extend him to Guilford schools. That's where he makes his friends. That's where you start your support system within the school right from the first day. I have neighbors that have friends that they are just lifelong buddies with, and they're 9 years old. So and I want that for my child, and so I'm here to support full-day kindergarten.
Hi, Christine Cohen. I'm at 308 North River Street. I wasn't going to say anything, but I do have a kindergartner in the system currently. I have a third grader, both at A.W. Cox, and I have a 3.5-year-old that would be affected by this change. And, my 9-year-old who's in third grade, I always thought, with my current kindergartner, full day would be great. Last year I was a huge supporter of the program. And now, more than ever, I think it's just so important seeing my kindergartner going through this Common Core curriculum and really trying to, learn how to read and go through, at our conferences, it was amazing to see, the checklist by the teacher of everything that she should know and what she needs to know by the end of the school year. And it's concerning to me because really when you get down to it, they're in the classroom for maybe an hour of good, solid learning time because they're in kindergarten. And so they're getting to school, they're putting their stuff in their cubbies, they're having a little chat time over there, they're, settling down, the teacher, it takes a lot to settle down a classroom of 5- and 6-year-olds, and even in some cases, I guess, 4-year-olds now, they're all 5. But there's snack time and there's specials, and we don't want to take these things away. Obviously, they're really important in the system, but she's really in there for about an hour and a half of getting into the Common Core curriculum, and I just think that is crazy, and it just can't be done. And we're setting them up for failure. That's the big complaint about Common Core is, are we setting our kids up for failure? And right from the start, if our kids don't have a love of learning, then we're doing them a huge disservice. So I'm a huge supporter. My daughter does go to the Before Care program. That's where she gets all her social skills in, and then, she goes on to her half-day kindergarten. And I'd love to see a full-day program so we don't have to sort of do that shuffle back and forth in the future. So, thanks.
Hi, my name's Eileen Mulqueen Luddington. I live at 7 Katy Lane. I wasn't prepared to speak tonight, but I am a full-day kindergarten teacher in North Haven. We have been full-day for 15 years. Kids can handle it. They can handle it. It takes a while for them to get used to the day, but they can do it. With the Common Core this year, it's difficult. There's a lot of assessing that needs to be done. There's a lot of data that needs to be collected. You can't do it in 2.5 hours. You can't get to know kids in 2.5 hours. You can't get them to where they need to be by the end of the year, 2.5 hours a day. We are 6.5 hours. We have a 90-minute block of language arts. We have an hour block of mathematics. We have 35 to 45-minute blocks of social studies and science. We have specials 45 minutes a day. We have recess a half an hour a day, lunch, working, snacks. It can be done. It should be done. I have 3 children of my own, 4 years old and 2-year-old twins. They'll be going to Cox School, so get ready. They're boys. But it's just so imperative that Guilford brings full-day K. Like I said, we've been doing it for 15 years in North Haven, and,
Let me ask you a question. if I can.
oh, boy.
You're coming from
I wasn't ready for, I can talk to 500 little kids, but in front of adults,
Yeah, but look at it this way, this is what you do. So, what is it that you, what's the difference now, post-Common Core and pre-Common Core, with what the expectations are on you as a kindergarten teacher? And now, and recognizing it's a different district, and, we've got whatever, what is it that you can do now with Common Core in a full day that you might not be able to do before?
well, I think it's the time. I mean, a few years ago, we had 25 sight words our kids needed to know. Now it's 110 sight words that kids need to know. A few years ago, it was kids knew how to do patterns and symbol graphs. Now they need to leave adding and subtracting. A few years ago, it was if you could write your name in maybe a 2-word, 3-word sentence, you were good. Now kids are expected to write opinion writing pieces of 4, 5, 6 sentences long by the end of kindergarten. I'm not kidding you. Reading, we do DRA in North Haven, so our reading, kids are expected to be at a DRA level 6, which used to be first grade a long time ago, and now it's on kindergarten now. It's comprehension. It's not just decoding simple words, it's actually understanding what you're reading, understanding, character, setting, the whole 9 yards. It just changed so much that we didn't have to worry. Even when we did do full year 15 years ago, it's not as intense as it is now. And I'm a little worried that if we don't move, like I just moved here a year ago, not realizing that we didn't have full day in Guilford. And then when I found out that there wasn't full day, a friend of mine got me involved, and I'm not a public speaker, but it got me going. So I just really need to advocate that it's doable, it's manageable, kids can handle it, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
My name is Paul Anastas. I'm at 25 Den Hollow Road. I respect all of the diversity of opinion here in the room, but you're going to have to pretend that I'm wearing green. So when I listen to the discussions, I remember that we are among the people, my family, that chose to move here, specifically because of the quality of education. We're so fortunate to have a 6-year-old that's a first grader in Calvin Leet and just loves every minute of the experience. We're so proud of the experience. Thank you. And I have a 3-year-old. Now, we were among the families that when we saw that Guilford had half-day kindergarten, said, we're not putting a little girl into kindergarten. We're going to do whatever it takes to ensure that she gets the best, fullest education. And so for her kindergarten years, we needed to go elsewhere. More than happy to invest to make sure that she had the best education she could for that year. And now she's in Calvin Leet, and we're still confident that she's getting the best education that she can. What am I saying to my 3-year-old? Not explicitly, but implicitly, that I'm very sorry that the town that we chose for you does not feel as though it's important enough to invest in your education, so we need to send you elsewhere to kindergarten in a school in Madison. So we will do that if we have to, but I have full faith in the town that we chose, that you are not going to make me implicitly say that to my 3-year-old daughter. I believe in you, I trust you, and I just want to say that when we were talking around about numbers, what we're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Freeman, is 0.85% difference for the full-day kindergarten. Is that right?
No.
3.07 and 2.
It goes from
to
3.07 to, it's about a 0.75, 0.8%.
0.85.
22.
0.82, thank you.
Let's go with 0.82. See, I didn't have full-day kindergarten. What we're talking about?
Less than a percent.
Less than a percent for the foundational steps of the education of our young children. I support the recommendation put forward. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shannon Dunn, 895 Maple Hill Road. I grew up and graduated from Old Saybrook High School. So I bleed blue and white. I met my lovely wife who grew up in Guilford. We moved here a couple years ago, just bought a house this year. I have a 3-year-old son whose birthday's today, and both parents are here and grandma's here to support full-day kindergarten. A telling side, my mom was an educator in Old Saybrook. She asked me how the family's doing. She asked me how my wife was doing. I said, my wife is on a crusade to get full-day kindergarten in Guilford. My mom's response was, question mark, question mark, question mark. You mean Guilford doesn't have full-day kindergarten? And I'm like, yeah. And, you know, coming from Old Saybrook, you know, all I remember in high school was we would have won a lot of shoreline championships if it wasn't for Guilford. Yeah. But, you know, we moved here because of the education. You know, my wife has an education background. My mom was an educator. And it needs to go through, you know, not just because my son's 3 years old, but for everybody. I just wanted to state my point, and, you know, that was you know, that rang home to me when my mom said she couldn't believe it. I mean, and she, you know, she worked at Goodwin School for a long time, and, you know, it's, for the amount of difference in the budget, please let it pass. I pass it along to the Board of Finance, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Others? All right, how about, we've been at that for about an hour or so. Is there anybody who wants to say something about something other than all-day kindergarten?
I did receive a communication.
Okay, well, let's talk about people that are here still, if that's all right, people that, you know, and then we'll do kind of written communications later, if that's all right. Yes, Ms. Beckett, you seem to be anxious to say something.
Kim Beckett, 6 Greenwood Lane, and before I begin, may I say how incredibly impressed I am with this group of advocates. These guys know how hard I have worked on behalf of special education, and I am just so impressed by everything you have represented here. I, for one, will be voting for the budget because I have a good feeling that the Board of Education will be allowing this to go forward, and obviously the next step is to get it through the Board of Finance, but and then the next step is that you've got to get the voters out. But I really can't, that color is really a special touch. That is just so neat. I really like that. It has been several months since I have been to a Board of Education meeting, so much so that when I ran into Dr. Freeman at the high school, I asked him if he missed me. And he said, no. And I said, don't worry, that's a compliment. I do take that as a compliment. But clearly, the fact that I haven't been here and scores of other parents who have children in special education has sent a strong message to this Board of Education that we have somebody as a superintendent who is acting as our advocate, and we very much appreciate that. For 7 straight years, we were here fighting for funding for things that no one else was advocating for. And we were pointing out where we needed more resources and we needed more services. We won some of those battles and we lost some of those battles. And then a little over 2 years ago, Dr. Freeman was hired. The prior 3 years before he was hired, we were told that we just could not have the money for an autism school. We had done all the research, we knew what was needed, but it was too expensive. He was here, he started in November, and he probably had 1 month before he had to put together a budget to come to this group, and he put it together where he made it work. And in a very short while, we have Bright Connections. Now we're looking for Bright Connections to go on to Baldwin. In 2 years' time, we have created Strive, which is an 18 to 21-year-old program for this student body, preparing them better for life after public school. We have Crossroads, which is an alternative school out of the high school. We have a therapy school out of the high school. We have a better collaboration with Yale and a better collaboration with CREC, and I'm thrilled that we have a collaboration with the Learning House, which is a jewel right here in our town that has the best reading program, bar none, as Orton Gillingham. So we have also experienced Dr. Freeman hiring amazingly qualified people who are student-centered and who are make-it-happen people, people like Jenny Brown and Jason Scaziano. I don't know the coordinator at the elementary school level. I have not met her, but I have a great deal of faith that she too is amazing. I'm here to say thank you. I'm not here to advocate for anything other than what he has already put up there. I'm asking you to approve this budget because you were bright enough to hire an amazing individual that is there for our students. He's not there to create conflict. He is not there to, to have any more. He's there to protect the teachers. He's there to protect parents. But more importantly, he's there to protect the students. And that's the key. I have every bit of faith that he is going to believe in what you want tonight with the full-day kindergarten. And I just want to say thank you very much. I do appreciate it. So.
Okay, thank you. Others on any issue, I guess? And if people feel like they need to get up and leave, fine. Don't.
You're just waiting for permission.
That's fine. We're polite in school. That's a good way to be. All right, anybody else want to be heard on any issue in particular? Mr. Bishop, please.
Good evening. It's interesting to be on the other side of the aisle, so to speak. Keith Bishop, 25 Meadow Ridge Lane. First, congratulations, Paul, on the NEAG Award. That's fantastic, and again, glad to hear that. I'm glad to see the thoughtful interaction, and as Kim just said, the crowd that we have here. Reflect back to 30-something years ago when I was the age of the average audience appears here. And was advocating for my children and being involved in the system and helped start the OM program at Cox in, I think, 1989. And as a part of that, then got sucked into more service and ended up on the Board of Ed for 22 years. And I'm glad to see the good work continue. Part of my message here, as Chris Tapiano said in her service and what she's grown up with here in town, is to take and be involved and to support things. And as Kim Beckett has just stated, to be an advocate and to come out and support the Board of Education. There's a balance that the Board of Ed does here, and that's the budgetary concerns that represent all the taxpayers, but then it's providing the right educational environment and the decision to keep on moving forward. And as a look at the service over the years, then we always reflect back and say, well, we didn't do as good a job as we did in the past. Well, we're here to make the best better. And at that particular times, and we always had things that were making the best better at that point in time and continuing to grow. And so I just want to say thank you very much for you guys that are here tonight. Please don't drop off, and it is very critical that your voice be heard in other segments of things going on with the Board of Finance in particular, and then actually to work and get out the vote and have a mechanism that through social media and the other connections you have to let your voices be heard and to make sure that you can be on the checklist when you go down Town Hall and look to see who voted. Your name is actually on that list that you went and voted as opposed to taking being absent. So that's a big piece of your responsibility to be here in town and to support that effort. So with that, the other piece is the reflection the Board of Ed has in the balance, and I know the Board of Ed members well know it, is the high school will be coming online as our new fantastic high school that many of us worked hard to see the fruition of that. That will have a major budgetary impact in the 15-16 year to the town capital purchase bonding repayment cycle starting, as well as the cost of moving and the process of decommissioning the existing high school and how all that fits in together. So there's going to be a large impact, and programs like this, to get them in effect right now, it's not a matter of if kindergarten is going to be here, but when. I think now is the time to implement it as other changes are smoothly transpiring. The special ed program that was mentioned here earlier on was one that took a number of years of research to get done, but the time was right to make it come into fruition, and Paul was on the receiving end of a lot of data that helped then put that into place, as opposed to what was decided before that it wasn't quite the time. And it's excellent to hear people like Kim that have special ed students involved to know that one of our biggest concerns was the integration of those children to stay with our system as opposed to being comfortable outside, and then it's very awkward to bring them back in. When your kid loves a place, you're very reluctant to pull them back to go somewhere else. That's sort of akin to any of us having a job change, and several of you moved here back to Guilford. Then you had older children, you had to pull them out of school, and what that impact is. The kids are more resilient than we are, so just keep that in mind, that they'll bounce back and keep moving forward, and they'll excite us, and it's great to see you folks here, and thank you very much for the time.
I just want to mention one thing. We haven't talked at all about one of the components of Dr. Freeman's proposed budget, but Ms. Becker reminded me that one of the important steps on our work on the special education program was commissioning an outside study of the special ed program, the Futures Report. Dr. Freeman's budget proposes a similar venture, a similar study of our high achieving learning program in this. And we obviously, the results from the Futures Report were just outstanding, and they really gave us a blueprint of where Dr. Freeman could go. And I think the board completely shares your view on Virginia Brown's work as the Director of Special Services. This program has changed very significantly, very much for the better with Dr. Freeman's leadership and Ms. Brown's leadership, and we are, I think the board, I speak for the entire board, saying that we are very grateful for what both of you have done, and everybody on all of the team, all of the administrators and staff. We talk about special ed sometimes as if it's a different program, it's a different colony or something from the rest of and the principals aren't involved, and the regular ed teachers aren't involved, and the paras aren't involved. Well, of course they are. It's a unitary program, and the more unitary we make it, the more involved the principals are, the more involved regular ed program is, the better off we all are. So we can't bring in back into the district that number, the number of children that we brought back in, without real effort from everybody involved, not just the special ed program, and not just special ed parents and so forth. So I want to publicly acknowledge our gratitude to everybody involved in that. Others? Anybody else want to say anything?
I I just want to add one more comment, because what you were talking about, I don't want parents to get really nervous and freaked out that, you know, their kids are going to be yanked out of some school and brought back into the district. Especially for the Crossroads program, as I understand it, those kids were invited to come to this program, and they wanted to be back in the district. They were asked, do you want to do this? It was left up to them. So that is another wonderful collaboration that our district has done in that particular area.
Well, and as we, at least as we understand it, the information we're getting, anyway, from parents is that they're delighted to be back.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So this is one of these circumstances where the town is delivering a better product at significantly less expense, better product, better service.
I didn't believe it could happen. I honestly didn't believe that it could happen.
Well, funny,
but-
they're members of the Board of Finance who believe that too.
So congratulations.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? Does any board members have any brief comments? We can talk obviously tomorrow night as well, but does anybody feel compelled? Oh, yes, we do have some written communications.
We
Yep,
have
yep.
had some communications, and I wanted to just read one, which follows nicely from Kim's comments. A parent, my daughter is part of the Bright Connections program at Lakes. I'd like the Board of Education to know what incredible difference this program has made for my daughter and our family. All too often, the board and administration hear the bad, how bad your decisions or investment, this is not what I. All too often, the board and administration hear the bad information from parents. It is important that you also know the good provided by your decisions and investment in special needs. In addition to focused program development, Dr. Freeman and Ginny Brown have brought a sense of community and open communication back to the system regarding special education, something that was long overdue. The board should also be aware of the outstanding team comprising Bright Connections. I truly cannot say enough about their dedication to the children, openness to work with parents, and skill in leveraging my child's strengths to overcome challenges. They have built a community of individuals who share knowledge and foster the expertise required to address dynamic challenges of children on the spectrum. The energy is found throughout the Lake staff and administration. This woman, Laura Laturza, was unfortunately unable to attend the meeting tonight, but I want to extend my thanks for making tough decisions over the last few years to fund special ed programs and training, and for helping to build an inclusive community within our schools. So I just wanted to share that. Sorry, reading off your phone is not really easy.
Okay. Mr. Casey, did you have?
I did. I received a communication from someone who couldn't be here taking care of her infant. Cindy Cartier is a selectman. She's writing on her own behalf. She lives at 344 South Hoopole Road and wanted this to be read into the record, which I'm happy to do for her. Dear board members, I am writing to express my support for the implementation of an all-day kindergarten program in the education curriculum. As some of you may recall, having served with me on the Board of Education in 2005, we began a long-term planning process that involved a number of programs, including foreign language beginning in the first grade, which was implemented, long-range technology plan that included laptops and additional technology resources in the classrooms for all teachers, which was implemented, long-term facility review of all schools, including necessary improvements made at Adams Middle School, implemented, renovation or creation of a new high school, which has been implemented, long-range improvements to curriculum taking our school district from good to excellent, implemented, expansion of teacher development programs, implemented. Also included in that list was an all-day kindergarten program to ensure that we were offering excellence in education for all of our students, present and future. This would be the final program of many implemented in the last 7 to 9 years, as noted above, that would continue to highlight Guilford as a premier educational district in the state. Not only do I support the all-day kindergarten program wholeheartedly, but I support the above referenced programs as well, as they have added tremendous success to our educational system. In speaking with multiple Guilford citizens over the last few weeks, it would appear that the most challenging issue to this program is increased cost to the budget. I would further recommend, as I've done in the past, that we look to combining resources between the town and Board of Education to achieve economic efficiencies, including facilities, technology, and finance departments. The savings realized would not only pay for this program, but other programs as well. This would assuage the concerns that citizens have regarding the rising budget costs. As current Board of Education member Alan Myers said 9 years ago, I'm reading her letter, I don't know that you said this.
Let's hear what she said.
I'm quite confident it's accurate. We need our administrators and board to be bold to offer programs that will take us to the next level. I agree and supported this statement then, and I do now. So I encourage you to be bold and move forward with the implementation of an all-day kindergarten program. Thank you for your consideration, Cindy Cartier.
I might have. Something that sounds like a long walk.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I got an email from parents that were not able to come and wanted this to be read into the record. It is from Paul and Laura Bauer. Dear Dr. Freeman and members of the Guilford Board of Education, as the district continues conversations regarding the proposed 2014-2015 education budget, we find that a large focus continues to be on the transition to a full-day kindergarten program. With 2 children having recently attended Guilford's half-day program and with 2 that will attend in the near future, we find ourselves increasingly tuned into this discussion. Our questions regarding whether or not Guilford should adopt a full-day program at this time are largely not of a budgetary nature. However, we would eagerly support the proposed $500,000 increase, which I guess is no less, in the Board of Education budget, knowing that in doing so, Guilford was adopting a program that was clearly in the best interests of our students across academic, social, emotional, and physical areas of development under the Common Core model. We are curious as to whether the administration and board can support and provide evidence for this argument. Specifically, what would the schedule of a full-day program look like in Guilford under new curriculums and with the Common Core state standards? Would the increase in school hours afford the children opportunities for free play and/or play centers, social skills development, a full schedule of specials, time for manipulatives, etc.? All things which have been reduced in the current schedule. Is this schedule in writing? What do readers and writers workshops and math block look like in a full-day program? Will they be required to be an hour each in duration as in other elementary grades? What, if any, data is available to indicate the potential benefit or lack thereof to children across various developmental domains in a full-day program under new standards with the age range in our kindergarten classrooms, as Connecticut is one of the only a few states with a December 31st cutoff? As Guilford Public Schools continues to settle into a myriad of curricular and classroom changes, is the district prepared and able to give this program not only the financial support, but the structure, staffing, and allocation of time and resources it needs to provide children in their first year of formal schooling the experience they deserve in the 2014-2015 school year? It has been our recent experience that in simultaneously adopting Common Core state standards, restructuring special education, welcoming a largely new administration, implementing teacher evaluations, building a high school, and beginning the unfinished discussion on how to meet the needs of our higher level learners, that the district's resources are spread thin. We can all speculate as to what a full-day program would look like under previous models of curriculum. It also seems likely that research citing the potential benefit of a full-day kindergarten program was conducted under academic models that Guilford is no longer using. Our son's second grade day bears little resemblance to his brother's second day grade just 2 years ago. We find it difficult to confidently support a program when comparing apples to oranges, so to speak. As Dr. Freeman can attest to, we expect nothing more than a quality and rigorous education for our children. Their introduction to formal education, however, should hopefully allow for a level of learning in school. There are many thoughtful and valid reasons to support full-day kindergarten. Many parents feel their children are ready to be at school all day because they have been in play-based preschool all day. Some want a more rigorous academic start to schooling. Many feel our district isn't keeping up with our neighbors. Some require a full-day school for childcare needs. We have legitimate concerns, however, regarding sending children as young as 4 1/2 to a full-day academically driven kindergarten program because everyone else is, or for any of the aforementioned reasons, without full knowledge of what the program entails. We have little doubt that whether it be next year or in 2 to 3 years, that full-day kindergarten is in Guilford's future, either by choice or state mandate. At this point, Guilford's Board of Education has the opportunity to implement the program according to a timeline of its choosing and to identify the methods that will ensure the success and best interests of our students. This outcome seems paramount to any argument for or against full-day kindergarten. We respectfully ask that if there is any question as to the success of implementing this program next year, then the initiation of full-day kindergarten be deferred. We thank you for your time and look forward to feedback regarding questions about. Respectfully, Paul and Laura Bauer.
Okay, thank you. You know, we actually, I was thinking, Dr. Freeman, we probably ought to talk a little in detail. I know that your administrative team has actually done a plan out to what this looks like. This isn't just like, let's do full-day kindergarten and all of a sudden, what, just keep the kids in the classroom longer. And maybe we can talk about that a little bit tomorrow or when we're deliberating actually, but that actually probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
Absolutely, right. When we spoke in our first meeting at Melissa Jones, I know that the elementary principals referred to a number of those questions and concerns. I'm sure that any of them who are here tomorrow would be happy to join us in a little more detailed conversation about what that would look like and address many of the concerns that are voiced here.
Okay.
I just got another email as we're sitting here. Do you want me to read these things?
Well, I save it till tomorrow. How about? We're going to be here tomorrow. So,
Yeah, save some.
Yeah, that's great. I have something to do tomorrow. My guess is we will. Anybody else? Anybody else want to have any comments? Okay. Yes. If you're standing up and you have your coat, I'm going to assume you're leaving. If you don't have your coat, then I assume you want to say something.
I've been
Please.
sweating, I'm not in support, but I'm wearing green by accident. My name's Nadine Jerby, I live at 106 Quanapog Lane. I'm very, very proud of my home in Guilford. I'm an educator by my background and the mother of a 6-year-old first grader, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they mean the world to me, just like I know they all mean the world to you. I'm an emotional speaker. Cat's out of the bag. Dr. Freeman, you mentioned that 50 to 60% of the people take advantage of the before care and after care, and that leaves a huge number that are home with their moms, like me and a lot of my friends. And that's something very unique about Guilford. You know, we kind of get to stay home with our kids here because it's a really gorgeous place to raise families. And I voted for the new high school. Can't wait for my kids to go there, but I'm not going to vote for this because I want my kids home with me. Not because I don't want to pass a budget. I'll pass any budget that I believe in. I just feel not every voice was heard tonight, and not everybody's speaking up because it's a little bit intimidating. But just as long as you know, not every voice was heard. It's not that people don't want to vote for it. It's that sometimes we have better options than sending our kids to school all day. And I also wanted to state that there are studies, actual scientific studies, research studies, stating that there was a study done on the California school system. Have you guys heard of the $1.5 million Ontario kindergarten experiment, full-day kindergarten experiment? It was found to be, the results of it say that, let me see, nothing short of incredible. In the study published last year by the California school system, they found some children appeared to have done worse with full-day learning, and that the biggest failings were in the categories of emotional maturity, communication skills, general knowledge, social and emotional development. The social and emotional development failings could be tied to the removal of the familial core too early, but you heard a lot of opinions tonight. I didn't hear any studies stated. So I wanted to bring up that there is a study the California school system put out, I also sent my 4-year-old to kindergarten, and it was a very hard decision. I have a preemie boy who would be young going, and another fall baby who would be going. And to hear talks so prematurely that we'd have to look at that again too, it's just overwhelming. I didn't expect to hear that tonight because I see it as a completely separate issue, but I knew it was going to come up with this, and I just don't think that, that we're ready as a district to move forward. I think that there's a lot of people who still believe in having their kids home with them because we do get to teach them, because we are formally educated ourselves. And that's all I had to say. Thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Let me just make two observations about that. First, we did receive dozens of studies from both the administration and from other various members of the board. Were able to obtain some studies. I don't recall one on Ontario, California specifically, whether it was part of.
I'm sorry, it was the Ontario, the Canadian school system put a $1.5 billion investment into what they call the full-day kindergarten
Okay,
experience.
well, that would explain why I didn't look in Canada.
But they pulled the study from California schools.
Well, there have been, I think, what was it, 299 studies or 298 studies of all-day kindergarten. And the Clark County, Nevada did a kind of a, what did they call it, the Nevada Department of Education, State Department of Education did a kind of a literature review. And they concluded that of the 298 studies, all but, don't hold me to the number exactly, but I think it's all but 12 or 14 were statistically invalid because of a lack of control. You don't have a control group. Anybody in Dr. Balistraci is the researcher on the board and has you can't have identical environmental influences in the full day K and the half day K program. So it's extraordinarily hard to try to generalize from any particular study. But we are aware of it has been studied in some substantial detail. The RAND Corporation did a study I don't know, last year, I think, or a gathering of all of the studies. We've looked at those, and the arguments are not all on one side on this issue at all. I mean, I don't think we've made that very clear. We're going to do our best to try to figure out what's on our district's best interest and what's in the best interests of the children that are involved. I will note that none of the studies take into account Common Core state standards because it's new. And that's true. And Canada doesn't have Common Core state standards. That's true. Now, how important is that? That's, okay. I mean, Canada's got a good school system. There's no question about that. But I will say that I am absolutely convinced that we are expecting more of our teachers right now than any of our lifetimes. No question in my mind about that whatsoever. We're expecting more from our administrators with evaluations of the teachers. It's different. It's not the same as it used to be. And people, some people have trouble with that. I understand that. But we're going to do our best looking at this, and it is something that we're going to look at very carefully. We've pushed Dr. Freeman. The administrators, when they brought this to us 6 months ago, they told us that you couldn't do it for less than $1 million or almost $1 million. And we, through some constructive dialogue and from some re-examination of it, now it's $465,000. We're going to look at this the same way we look at everything. Is it worth it? Is it effective? We know the cost. Is it going to add benefit to our educational experience? That's what we're going to try to do. I'd encourage anybody who wants to voice their opinion. If you're not comfortable voicing it publicly, we've all got emails on the Guilford Public Schools website. Just do a web search for Guilford CT Public Schools, and it'll go to the Board of Education. We've all got email addresses right there, and we'd be delighted to hear from all of you, anybody for or against, frankly, on this and any other issue. So, does anybody else want to say anything? Please. All right. If there are other people that want to say something, if you could just maybe line up over here, and that way we can. Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi,
I'm sorry.
I'm Sarah Salato, 51 Kendall Court, and I was at the October meeting and spoke then. But the only thing I just wanted to say that I don't think I said in October, is just how important the Common Core is and how it makes a huge difference. I have a 5th grader, so 4 years ago, I probably would not really have been here thinking that it would be just as important if we were at this point 4 years ago trying to implement that. I don't think I would have been thinking it was really as important. I have a third grader. Just 2 or 3 years ago, I don't think that it would have been as important then. It would not have been something that I felt really needed to be. I have a first grader, and I cannot believe this year what this 6-year-old is asked to do. She went to half-day, obviously kindergarten last year. I am a stay-at-home mother and have been for 10 years. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely love every minute with my child. But I do support full-day kindergarten because you need to give these kids that are going into first grade the right foundation, the right framework. You can't give them 2.5 hours in kindergarten and then expect them to go into first grade and play catch-up, which is exactly what they're doing. I cannot believe what the CCSS has been doing to our first grade or second grade, all across the board. But I do believe that we need to give these children, these students, the proper foundation, and just to be fair, to give them a full-day kindergarten. I really, really hope that you'll pass this through onto the Board of Finance, and then hopefully the rest of us will do our job. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm not wearing green, but I wish I was fully dressed in it. My name is Allison Denza. I'm at 249 Driftwood Lane. I've been a resident of Guilford for 10 years now. My husband and I moved here. We were looking in Madison, Guilford, Branford. I'm originally from Westport, and I grew up in a great school system, in a great town, but I have the option of moving back there or staying here, and I would stay in Guilford hands down. I love the community. I love the school system. That being said, I want to tell a little bit about my story real quickly, briefly. I have a son who we moved here because of the school systems and because we love the town so much and the community. We got a great vibe, great feeling off of it, and we knew from our realtor saying about the music and about how great the school system, we were sold, hands down. Now, I have a 4.5-year-old who is in Guilford Lakes currently, and I've made a lot of girlfriends. I'm an older parent, I'm an older mother. I decided to have children later in life. My son has special needs. I can't say enough about the special ed program. I do have my gripes here and there about some of the things and, things that can be improved, but I think that comes out of more emotion than it does about the special ed system as a whole. Jill, the principal of the school, I can't say enough about her. She's wonderful. She's hands-on. All the teachers are hands-on. So that being said, my son is in a full day, fully paid for by taxes. I had him in a private, very expensive school curriculum before going to decide to go with Guilford Lakes. We really wanted him in Guilford Lakes. The special ed program's outstanding. Cheryl Shalowski, the school psychologist there, Carrie Hartman, I can't say enough about these women who really are advocates and just don't do it as a job. They're really vested in the children, and that makes me feel so just secure for my child. And I currently, right now, so I had the choice of moving back down to Westport, where my family is, or staying in Guilford. I'm currently separated, and I have a huge decision to make. And one of the reasons I'm really having a hard time, I would go down and be with my family and where I grew up in a heartbeat, but my girlfriends here who also have kids in special ed and that don't, I can't say enough about it. And seeing my son in a full day of school, in preschool at Guilford Lakes all day for 6 hours, he's doing things that some of the kindergartners aren't, and he's special ed. So when you say that some children may not be ready for it, may not be for everybody, but my son may not or may fall on the spectrum. He's speech delayed. In any case, I can't say enough what, I know he's gonna go for a full day. If he's not, next year I'm gonna move. I am gonna sell my house and I'm gonna move back down to Westport, where they do have a full-day kindergarten, and be around my family. I love the community here, but I need to do what's best for my son. And what's best for my son, even though he's special ed, he may not be offered it a full, if it's not passed. Dr. Freeman, thank you. The council, thank you. I know there's so much more I want to say. I'm kind of like all over the map here, but thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And I really hope this gets passed for not just my son and staying here, which I want to do, but for my girlfriends and their husbands and their children. It's really, I think, crucial that these kids have the tools necessary to move on to first grade, because I do see a difference in the different school districts with the children. So thank you for listening to me. And
Good evening. My name is Michael Pascasilla, 55 Ocean View Road. Last year, I came here to speak about full-time kindergarten. I'm really glad to see it's in your budget, Dr. Freeman. Thank you. Like you, I'm going through the budget process, and I know it's a very difficult process, and I work for a government agency, so I could appreciate what you're against. But this investment of a full-time kindergarten, when we look at a return on investment, because that's what we're constantly being asked as taxpayers, what is the return on investment? I think it's hands down a great investment. And for less than $500,000, I think it's money well spent. And I encourage the Board of Ed and everyone here to vote for full-time kindergarten. And I also just want to give you a little feedback. My wife and I moved here 3 years ago to Guilford, partially because of the school system and because Guilford is a lovely community. And we have a 4-year-old in A.W. Cox. And the school has not just met our expectations, they have exceeded our expectations. And I think you should know that. You and your staff are doing a great job. Thank you.
Jamie Plonson, 444 Norton Town Road. I just wanted to make one more point, and I know it's been said, but I just kind of wanted to reiterate again. I'm a mom of twin boys who are Burr babies, September, October, November, December, the end of the year. I too have, and working full-time, I'm an educator in special ed. My kids have been in full-day programs since they were 3 months old. It's just by nature of how it's had to happen. And, I've definitely struggled, especially in the program that they're in now. Social emotional growth can be very difficult, especially when you're starting the school year, you're 4, and, one of the girls in their class turned 6 that month. There's a big difference, and I appreciate that. But I also want to just make the point known too that if there is the concern, if I was fortunate enough to be a stay-at-home mom, nothing I would have loved more than being able to have that time with my kids. It's just unfortunate that it doesn't work for me and my family. But there's the option of keeping them another year in preschool. And eventually, developmentally, they are at an age where they are ready for that, whether it's 5 or whether it's 6. Our education system didn't just sprout out of nowhere, hundreds of years ago. I mean, it is what it is. Our kids get to an age where that becomes okay. And so if you're not okay with sending them into a full-day program when they're 5, or in my case, 4 and a little bit, you have that opportunity to do that. You have that opportunity to do a year of part-time, and then, some programs I know, we have an integrated preschool in my special ed school where there are parents that roll out in the 4-year-old year, whether it's part-time or 1 day a week and then 2 days a week. And by the end of the year, they're doing their full-time. So, I mean, it really does become a parent choice. And I think that enough voices here tonight have, made that point that it's time. Now it's time. And there are people, if you agree with it or not, you can make that personal choice of what to do with your kids, where they fall on that spectrum of development. So, thank you.
Good evening, Nate Jacobson, 1470 Long Hill Road. This full day K has been such the focal point of this budget season that I would just like to forecast out a little bit in the case that the budget doesn't get through the Board of Finance, through the public vote, that we forecast out a little bit. And we've heard the outpouring from people for the need, the time is right for full day K to go forward. I want to only ask for the board to make it unanimous that it's going forward to the Board of Finance, but to really put their foot in the sand and say, not only are we making it unanimous, but if there are cuts down the line from the Board of Finance, from the public, the full day K, the 500,000, stays in it, and that we're looking at other areas where efficiencies could be made, whether it's areas that's increasing to that 3.07 this year or other areas in the past. I obviously don't know the specifics well. For folks that may not have been at the meeting two weeks ago, really Dr. Freeman and I believe it's Ms. Brown need to be commended. They mentioned, I believe it was 800,000 plus area of efficiency in special education. I've been to several budget meetings in other towns. That's an incredible area of efficiency that is really allowing us to bring this budget forward at this point at 3.07. But to really get back to my original point, it is possible that there's more efficiencies there. My expectation for you guys, and it's probably, I don't know if arrogant is the right word, is not only bring this budget forward unanimous to the Board of Finance, but put the foot in the sand and say, this is the time, if this doesn't pass the public vote, that the full day kindergarten is going to go forward and we would make a budget decision somewhere else. Thank you.
Anybody else? You're just walking?
I need to change shapes, so if we're done.
Do you have like 30 seconds?
Do you want to change shapes?
If you want. That's fine, go ahead.